What's up? What's up? It's Mike Watson. We are here with a special edition episode of The Good, the Bad, and Nerdy. Special focus episode. I got two guests, two radically cool people, as we discuss the awesomeness that is the John Henry movie. And we might dive into a little bit of watching from HBO. Yeah, I know I'm late, but I don't care. I'm here now. All right, so bringing up our first guest. I've known this woman for a long time. I've lived with this woman. I've kicked it with this woman. I broke bread with this woman. And her name is Taisha. What's up, Ty?
Hey, and of course I start with my microphone muted, messing up the whole party. How
No
you doing,
problem.
Mike?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself real quick.
Oh man, Columbus, born and raised. I'm a poet, blurred by association. So I got introduced to graphic novels and everything super late. Matter of fact, around the time I met you. Um, so still a lot of learning and a lot of growing to do, but definitely definitely a fan of the culture. Historian, writer,
Mm-hmm.
married to Marshall Shorts. That's my boo thing.
Columbus, Ohio,
Um,
represent Marshall Shorts, Mr. Columbus.
right. Well, don't let him hear you say that. He's Cleveland to his heart, but
I
I keep
know, I
telling him
know.
he's a Columbusite all day. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So
All
thank
right.
you for having me.
Oh, no problem, no problem. All right, now my next guest. I just met this young man, but he is outstanding. He's a talent in the creative, making comics, things like that. Hoping to continue to have our relationship grow. Mr. TJ Sterling. How you doing, sir?
You muted,
Oh,
bruh.
you're muted.
How did I?
I hear you.
I hear you now.
Can you hear me? Okay,
Yep.
perfect. Yeah, this
Yep.
is TJ Sterling, president and lead artist of Ray Comics. Been in the business making indie comics for the past 4.5, almost 5 years, and really enjoying it, loving it, and really just looking to continue to network and learn and meet new people in the industry. And it was dope because I think me and Mike, you and I first met at BlurredCon last year, which just got rescheduled, unfortunately. But
Yes, yes.
yeah, I'm a former Marvel intern. I've done some work for Aspen Comics, DC, and Dark Horse as well, and now just publishing my own material. And again, I'm really happy to be a part of the show. Thank you for having me.
No problem, man. Thank you for joining. Shout out to Bobby Ford, Spencer Church, Adam Coop, and my partner, who is the other half of the Good, the Bad, and the Nerdy, Christina. And we will be back for a regular scheduled show tomorrow. We got lots to talk about. But so I just had to talk about this John Henry movie, man. All right, so we gonna dive into this. So I'm gonna let you know how I came across it. Now I knew this movie was being made, and I was like, well, it's got to be credible because my man is in it and Ludacris is in it, so it's got to have some weight, some gumption to it. So I was willing to give a chance, and then amidst the COVID-19 quarantine, it gets shipped to Netflix. So I just got through drawing, and I was like, cool, I'm about to pop it in. It can't hurt. I'm paying my $10 a month for everything on Netflix. I throw this in, man, and I was thoroughly disgusted. I don't know how about the rest of y'all feel. Like, so, like, let us know, like, what made you even know that the movie was around? Like, how did you get associated first before you watched it? Ty?
I mean, Oh no, go ahead, Taisha, please.
I was gonna say literally just scrolling through Netflix. Like I've reached my capacity with series right now. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to watch no shows. I don't watch no limited series. I just wanted to watch a movie, something that was real transactional, and so I could be done with it. And saw the thumbnail for that, and our son Amari was actually
Okay.
coming to visit, and so I was like, all right, well, wait till he gets here so we can all watch it together. And he gets here, and not only had he already seen it, so I'm like, okay, I felt some kind of way about that. But then he was like, yeah, it wasn't that good. So now I have to watch it, right? Naturally, I need to see why it's not that good. And he was very, very, very correct. It was not that good. That was an understatement. And I'll stop right there.
All right, TJ, what's your intro story to this film?
Man, see, like I'm a big Netflix and eat my dinner type of person.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I'm sitting there after a long day of drawing and working, just having dinner and like, oh, what is this John Henry show? What's it about? What's going on? I mean, again, I'm a huge fan of the stuff that Terry Crews has done. I mean, pretty much anything that Ludacris done. You know, of course, DJ Quick. You know how
Yeah.
shout out to all the '90s rappers out there and '90s rap style period. So I'm thinking it's got to be halfway decent, but I couldn't
Exactly.
even finish finish the whole thing. It was so bad. Everything about it was just horrendous. So yeah,
All
They
right,
got
so
us with that bait and
horrendous.
switch though, right?
they
It seems
did.
everything seems
Yeah,
like the
right
makings
there.
of a great film. You've got these highly credible actors, DJ Quick coming out of retirement and putting some new music out there for the one time, just all these things, and it just did not come together.
So
Yeah,
it was so loosely hanging off the coattails of the legend of John Henry. I'm like, all right,
Loosely.
loosely. I was like, all right. So I like the legend of John Henry, and I like how it's been interpreted, such as in Superman when they did Steel, not the movie, the comic book, and how they orchestrated that.
Mhm.
The I think it was Pixar or Disney animated short of John Henry that was really beautifully done. I'm like, all right, so we about to get, I'm a little tired of the urban spin on things, but all right, give it to me. Credible actors. How are we going to incorporate John Henry into this situation? I'm still waiting for the connection because you
Correct.
you saying the poem at the end of the movie and at the beginning of the movie does not make this a John Henry movie.
Right. And throw his hammer in there in a couple of scenes, and that
It,
was it.
why couldn't
see,
he
I
lift
got
the
the
hammer?
feeling that it was more of like a loose interpretation of the character. Like he wasn't actually the character, but like he had characteristics of it, and he had some
Mhm.
kind of superhuman strength. And
Yeah.
to me, it felt like they were really trying to like capture the Luke Cage fan base. Like it felt like
Uh.
a straight up
Mm,
watered down, not very good Luke Cage. Even the music felt similar too when it
Yeah.
comes to like the harmonies, like everything about it. It felt like Luke Cage, but just not very good.
yeah.
That's a very good point. I would concur to that. Now, like thinking back on, I was like, oh yeah, it does have the vibes of Luke Cage or whatnot. So I'm probably gonna get a little scatterbrain over this whole thing, but I need to discuss Ludacris. First off, I'm upset. Ludacris is barely in the film. Then
You wanted more looter?
I wanted Mo Luda. I mean, if he gonna wear the suit and have the James Bond facial mask like I wanted
Oh
Mo Luda.
man.
And then
No
then
doubt.
when he's on scene, so I'm literally looking at this dude. I'm like, so do you just sit in that room with the blue light all day
All
in
day.
in the suburban home? Like,
Yeah. He
what
pops
is
back to Granny's house every now and again. We don't get to see that. But aside from that, yeah, he in the trap all day.
all day just sitting there smoking a square?
Yeah.
Bro.
So I love the original story of John Henry. I think it's
Yes.
actually like with no adaptation, it's actually perfect for what we're going through, right? It's a story about labor. It's a story
Hmm.
about African American resilience and
Hmm.
strength. It's anti-capitalist. It's anti-industrialist, right? There are all these really great themes that somebody, if they really wanted to, could really just take it as is and put out something really great.
Yeah.
But I feel like there were so many changes in this particular film that aside from calling him John Henry literally and having a hammer, there was nothing remotely similar to the story of John Henry at all. Which
Absolutely.
actually makes me quite sad and does a disservice to the legend. So
Yeah.
I wonder I want to be a fly on the wall for whatever business deal was made to solidify this because I'm
Right.
still confused. I need to know who put money up and was just like, you know what I want to do? I want to make a
Good
John
point.
Henry film.
I almost want
But
to say this is when that whole situation when he Terry Crews was getting touched, and before he started speaking out, this is what he was forced to do before he started speaking out, and it was already
Mm,
filmed and it was already done.
that's
Um,
interesting.
mm,
Terry Crews,
I think he was a bad casting choice, actually.
he was
I would have
terrible.
loved to see Michael Jai White. I would have even loved to see LL. Don't I'm date I might be dating myself, but I would have preferred a different uh
person, actor to play
actor.
it. I don't
Yeah.
think he was good for the role either because he was actually, and I guess they were trying to make it a little bit more realistic with his size and frame, but he was much bigger. Terry Crews was
Mhm.
much bigger in Expendables.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
Way
Oh
more
yeah.
like just mass and intimidating and stuff like that. And I guess this dude's supposed to be like a hermit, but I just didn't get the connection of like
He didn't
I
feel
get it.
imposing. I felt like his father was more imposing than he was.
Mm.
Like he had more power. Like you actually felt like this dude was serious. Like he actually had some oomph in the story. At
Yeah,
Mm.
least I connected with the father character a little bit more than anyone else.
the father character had the to me had the most personality. He was the
He
person that
did.
like I could get behind him because he felt genuine in what he was saying. Now, I bet
Absolutely.
everything he said wasn't the best or whatnot, but he felt like he felt like a real character. Um, John Henry felt like a copy, a carbon copy of something that they tried to stick in there and gave no personality to.
Yeah, he definitely
It's
didn't have any personality. I disagree with the two of you. The father was not my favorite character. He felt a little trophy, right? My dick was legendary right before he gets killed. That's a little. I mean, if there's anything on the nose about the lascivious black man, that's probably as on the nose as you're gonna get. But he definitely added some flavor to the film for sure.
I'm absolutely with you on that, but because there was nothing else for me to grab a hold of to that film,
True,
Daddy
true,
was it for me. Because
true.
how you
facts.
so if you are this dope or like this legendary to where you cold killed somebody with two hits, a punch and a stomp, dead.
Mm, mm-hmm.
To defend your best, what his cousin? It was his cousin. To defend your
His
cousin,
Yeah.
cousin.
that's family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You just stood there and let your father die.
Mm.
So like
Yeah.
you've told me in this film that when somebody's super close, his family, somebody he loves and he cares about, he acts without hesitation.
Mm-hmm.
He's a calm, cuddly bear up until you threaten his family. His
Mm-hmm.
daddy was threatened for a long time with them guns, and he just stood there and watched and ain't do nothing.
He did something.
What'd he do?
He protected Berta, right? So there's still this damsel in distress trope that we can't seem
Oh,
to get rid of. But he was doing something. He was
you're right.
protecting Berta, but it seemed out of character for the exact reasons that you point out. Like this man is blood. This man, is in your home. You all have been living together. You've been taking care of him for years, and you're just gonna let him get shot at. You're not even gonna touch the gun. You're not
Nothing.
even gonna touch the gun.
Like I
Yeah.
understand, and I get that. Like so, I don't have anything in my life that I can say is a severe trauma that has made me become frozen with fear. So I can't really speak on the severity of that.
Mm-hmm.
I can only imagine, and I mean no disrespect to anybody that does have a trauma and goes through those type of things, but in that situation, your daddy is about to die. They're coming from this girl that you have, and it's not like you had plenty of opportunities to get this girl out your house and get her on her way, but you have stepped up and said, "I'm going to protect you." With every action that you have done in this movie, you have led us to believe that you're going to protect this girl. And then when it comes down with the six angels of darkness who come in and they all white,
Right.
you do nothing. You don't touch the
Right.
gun. You just stare at the gun. Like at a certain point, how much hood is in John Henry? Because I'm supposed to believe there's still a lot of hood in him. Or am I getting that wrong?
No, because he definitely waited for his cousin in the garage smoking a blunt, and I was like, "Wait a minute, where, where did this come from?" that
All
that was
facts.
completely unlegible to me, illegible, or whatever the word is
Yeah.
to me. Like he's smoking a blunt, like for real. Is this? Are you serious? He making cheese sandwiches for strangers, but he's sitting here thugging it out, smoking a blunt. Like no, come on. So yes, we are supposed to believe that he's still a thug. Yes.
What, what say you, TJ?
Yeah, I don't, I don't buy it at all. Like I said, to me, it was what bothered. I guess what kind of bothered me too is like at the beginning of it, it's they're kind of relying on this this kind of trope that they use with Black Lightning, where you have this savior in the hood that's beating up his own people, and I just don't
Mm.
like those types of stories. It really kind of bothers me because there's just where are the stories like what is it where they have to beat the man up or they have to like find somebody who's really doing something negative in the community.
Mhm.
Like I'd be more interested if they were trying to find somebody who's doing the chemtrail stuff. Like if they did something that's connected to our stories and to actually something that's happening, and then they address it versus just like, oh, more people in my community that are thugs that I have to beat up or whatever. And I wasn't feeling it, but at the same time, I understand why they do it, because I mean those types of formulas apparently sell really well in
Mm.
Hollywood and
Yep.
Netflix and all this other shit.
Yep.
Excuse my language. Sorry about that.
No, you good. We after dark right now. We good.
Okay, I wasn't sure if there was kids watching.
Facebook after dark.
All right. We right now we are streaming to the good, the bad, nerdy page, and we're on Twitch streaming
Oh,
right now. So we
Twitch.
good.
Twitch
Yeah,
after dark.
Twitch after that.
Twitch after dark. Let's do
So
it.
so that's a very very good point, because that's something that I always bring up with my wife when watching these shows. Because so like in my studio, I got the TV set up, and we got a day bed, day couch or whatever, so she can sit in here and watch TV with me while I'm doing all my work and stuff, and we can watch our shows. And just a reoccurring theme that I have noticed is just like black characters in these shows and movies are not they're damaged. Like they're damaged
Mm.
more so than the white counterparts or whatever. For example, and I don't know if you guys seen it or whatnot, but I like to watch bad shit just to have it on the background so I won't like lose my focus while drawing. So I threw on Van Helsing, which is a sci-fi show,
Oh
and
Mm.
God.
they got a couple black characters in there, and you kind of start digging on them, but as the show progresses, like they have no morals. They're traitors. They're backstabbers. They don't have the resilience of the other characters in the show. And I'm like, so I can't get no positive black representation in the show. I can't have one character that's like mentally strong as their white counterpart in this show or whatnot. And like it just, and it could be me. I don't know, but it just seems like it's a reoccurring theme
Oh,
that
It's
absolutely.
definitely a reoccurring theme. I mean, I was thinking, I was actually talking to somebody about this the other day about Smallville. If you think about like all of the black characters on that show, whether it was Pete Ross or whether it was Tony Todd who came in and played a character, or even the dude who played Miles Bennett Dyson in Terminator. I can't remember
Mhm.
the actor's name, but two out of those three characters, were displayed as junkies, like kryptonite or
Mm.
meteor junkies, and they were very broken, so to speak. And then even Pete Ross's character, which again I really liked in the beginning, but they didn't really give him enough justice. They kind of made him, I don't know, lesser than the other characters. They could
Mm.
have definitely made him stronger, in my opinion. And it's just like, again, it's a format that they know works because it's safe for regular America to accept, unfortunately. And like I said, I'm kind of hoping with a story like John Henry that it's like this is a pro-black powerful story about a powerful character that is important to us, but it wasn't any of that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think
yeah.
that's a good point. I think it underscores who the audience is intended to be. So some of the characters that we're seeing are so frequent because they're legible to certain audiences, and so it would be real difficult to start all of a sudden, bringing in a different type of character, because then you lose, the audience that you originally intended it for. So I
Mhm.
think that's a great
Hmm.
point.
Yeah, spot on with that stuff. And then it kind of makes me really really hunt and look for a positive person of color in a leading role that has strong character, that has a strong will and perseveres through and stuff and whatnot. And then it kind of brings me over to The Watchmen for HBO. And so my wife and I are watching this, and I'm like, whoa, hold up. My girl Regina King is the lead. This her show?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. All right,
yeah.
you got me in. Then I saw her costume. I said, all right, not over sexualized. She rocking it, looking good in it. Her car, I was her whole stature, the way she carried herself. She was a person of authority. She was respected. She had a great relationship with her family, her husband. There was
Yeah.
a positive relationship between a husband and a wife. They built off each other. Um, and then like as the show went on further and further, I was like, then how they talked about tied in history into the comic book world and brought that in. I've never seen that put on screen before.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
massacre is never, not to my record, and if anybody's watching or whatnot, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I have no problem admitting I'm wrong. I just haven't visually seen that before and depicted to that much. That sucked to watch that, but then it showed how strong our characters were in the
Yeah.
show or whatnot.
Yeah.
And spoilers be damned, all right, because I got to this show really late. The twist with her grandfather being the first superhero
Mm-hmm.
in the show, the first superhero who inspired all these other superheroes. Man, come on now, man. Like, that was incredible, and like, but his will, and like, I think that's kind of like just the thing I really noticed the most, or something that I really want to have, because I don't have a problem with characters having, you know, hurt. I don't have a problem having with a character that's not perfect, that has
Right.
something wrong with them, whatnot or whatnot. But when we're talking about people that are supposed to be the heroes in these shows, the first thing to me that a hero is supposed to have is an indomitable will to persevere and
Right.
push through,
The
and
willpower,
not be, yeah.
absolutely.
And each one of these characters had that, and
Yeah.
especially for the time when this first superhero was made, like that plot twist, I did not see that coming at all. Like, it was well written, well directed, well acted, well planned, all that, just right on the nose. And like, and I'm gonna skip around. I'm gonna skip to a different show that's not superheroes that I really do appreciate, and I don't know if anybody else does. Is Insecure.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
I enjoy that show a whole bunch, and
Especially this season.
yes,
Yeah.
and I think somebody said in an interview, and I forget his name because I'm terrible with names. If you've been watching any of my shows, I suck with names. But it's no problem seeing people of color that are different representations of society when there's enough of us being represented, when there's enough of us
Absolutely.
being showcased. Like, if you just show the world as it is, we live, me and Taisha live in Columbus, Ohio. It's a freaking melting pot here, man. We got
Hmm.
everybody. If you showcase the
Midwest.
world like that, then no one's gonna have a problem with how characters are or how characters are represented, because you're showing the world as it is.
And you're
I don't know.
naturally going to have a hero, and you're naturally going to have a villain, and you're naturally going to have, a sidekick, and you're naturally all of these different types of characters are going to play out if you allow characters of color, specifically black characters, to be their full selves.
Mm-hmm.
And I love this season of Insecure. I loved The Watchmen. I love Underground, which I wish would be brought back. That's to me, a different kind of superhero story,
Mm-hmm.
of just a resilience. But there's tons of hubris. There's tons of folks wanting going from being kind of resilient and persevering to you're kind of overstepping your bounds, right? And we love
Mm-hmm.
to see that in our heroes, because at a point they get humanized
Yeah.
throughout a certain process, if you allow the story to carry on for long enough. And so I'm sad to hear that The Watchmen would not be coming back for a second season. I think it was one of the more brilliant shows on television. I would love to see somebody retry John Henry. Like, psych, we we messed it up. We won't do it again. But I don't I but we have to be the audience. And I think
Yeah.
what's so great about Insecure is that um, I think people of color are the intended audience.
Mm-hmm.
That's why there are some things that don't need to be explained. You see
Yeah.
some things, and they don't have to go into. And I'm sorry for the people who like Blackish and Black AF. I'm not a huge fan, but there are so many moments
Agreed.
on Blackish and Black AF where they have to take a pause and pivot and explain something. right? Because that means black people are not the audience. Because
Hmm.
if black people are the audience, then we already know. We already
There's no
understand why
explanation.
certain language is used. We already understand why certain hairstyle is done. We already understand why you wearing athleisure with a chain, bro. Like I don't
Hmm.
need you to explain that, right? Because my uncle does that or my cousin does that. But when you're taking the time to explain those kinds of things, then to me, as somebody watching, it signals that I'm not your intended audience. And so
Hmm.
I'm already kind of going in like, okay, this ain't really for me anyway. Let me see if I can pick something up from it, but I can already tell it's not for me. And those
Oh,
were some of the things that I saw on John Henry too.
that's so that's so funny. So hold it before I speak again. TJ, have you seen Black AF?
I'm sorry, I just threw
Yeah,
that
yeah,
out
I've been
there.
I've been trying to watch it. It's it
Wait,
has its funny moments, but I definitely agree
It
with
does.
Taisha's point to it. There's a lot of explanation. Pause. Let me explain some stuff. I mean, I do enjoy some of the very candid jokes about like he was talking about. Oh man, how are white people still in power? They can't even be in the sun. Like I just thought that shit was hilarious when I first heard it because it's really fucking true. But every other part, it's like we got to stop. We got to explain what parts of the culture there are and things like that. And I love Insecure because to me it's very unapologetically
yeah.
black and cultural, and it's just that area too, you know what I'm saying? Leimert Park is very cultural. If you guys have ever had a chance
Mm.
to just walk around, that I had a friend that worked at the Hot and Cool Cafe, which got shown in an episode of
Oh
Insecure on
wow.
season 2, and that's a very chill area, like, and really it's extremely cultural. It's a beautiful place to just hang out. And like I said, to me, Insecure always felt real. It always felt really good. I wasn't a huge fan of the second season. I do got to catch up on the third one, but I love the fact that there's always just tons of promise with that show. There's
Yeah.
really can be anything done with it. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. Me, my wife and I, we've watched all the Insecure seasons and thoroughly enjoy it. I am all again terrible with names, but I am all about the lead character in the show, Issa Rae.
He's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm all about her. I'm all for her wins and I'm all for her losses. Um,
Yeah.
I think she's hilarious. But I think it's hilarious that you brought up Black AF because I was thinking that same thing for a couple of different reasons. And number
Mm.
one, it was hard as heck to get through the show. And
Yeah.
That's
I
right.
think you're right. We're not the intended audience. I think like he's really trying to, and I could be wrong, but I think he's trying to educate other
Oh, for
people
sure. For
about the
sure.
culture and about us. And I mean, there's these moments where I think where I'm like, yeah, it's supposed to be funny, but the parent in me is like, I would slap the shit out my child if they ever talk to me like that. Like, why are you letting your kid talk to you like that? Like, I was completely taken off the show when the kids was doing all this other like cussing at them and talking all reckless. I'm like, oh, what?
Oh,
Yeah.
Why are you not getting in their chest?
Yeah.
But then
not in
at
our
the
generation.
right,
Not at all.
but then at the same time, when that Tyler Perry episode came up and Tyler
Mm.
Perry started talking, I was like,
Uh,
oh
Yeah.
I
wow.
feel like
That was
that's how
actually
he
a
really
great
thinks
scene.
too. I
Yeah.
feel like that's how he really be thinking because why would he care what anybody thinks about the content he makes? Because
Right.
somebody's buying it or
It's
somebody's
selling,
watching it,
right?
even if it's
It's
not
selling.
us. Yeah,
But
It is
it
us
goes
though. We
it
try to
is.
pretend like we don't watch Tyler Perry productions, but we do. We do.
Mhm.
We
it's
keep
true.
buying it. We keep watching it. And he's gonna keep making it.
Absolutely. It's just like Taisha saying, we don't need it explained to us. That's what Tyler Perry said. He's not making this for anybody else. He knows exactly who his
That's
audience
right.
is. He knows who he's talking to. He don't give a damn about nobody else. If you don't like it, you ain't gotta buy it.
At
But
all.
but enough people like what I'm doing to buy it. I have the
Yeah.
largest studio in America because I'm Tyler Perry. I made my own walk of fame. He gave a star to every single person who has ever been in anything he has produced on
Wow.
his studio lot. Invited them all back for the grand opening party and things like that. What parts of the new Coming to America 2 and stuff, and Bad
Mm-hmm.
Boys filmed on his studio. Tyler Perry's
That's
out here.
right.
You may not like Medea, but I like Tyler Perry's hustle.
That's right.
I like everything about Tyler Perry and what he's
He's a
doing
worker, that's for sure.
because he's out
Amen.
here.
I
So
do want him to give more black writers,
yeah, he does
more
stuff like that.
opportunity, right?
No,
Like black writers are fighting in Hollywood as it is now. He has an opportunity to give more black writers some work. He should absolutely do that. But as far as everything else is concerned, I'm not gonna knock his hustle at
Now,
all.
he needs to work on them wigs too. I don't. He does need to work on them
You
wigs.
know,
All right,
yeah,
he does. He does. And
especially in Atlanta. I feel like Atlanta, that's like black hair capital. Like
yeah.
you can get some good wigs.
Look, I'm not
He just
saying my
doesn't want
Right.
to.
he don't. I'm not saying my man is perfect, but I really respected the hell out of what he said on Black AF, and and I agree, TJ. I think that part was completely unscripted. I think those are his God to Green Earth feelings on the
Mm,
subject.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate that. Like it really made me think as a creator, what am I doing? Like who's my audience? Who am I making my content for and things like that? And like I don't need to answer to anybody. I just need to make the stuff that I want to make or
that's
whatnot.
right.
Yeah. The
And
golden rule is always do what feels right. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like just we make the content we want to make, and if people fuck with it, cool. If they don't, then whatever. Like I mean, that's just what it is. Like,
Yep.
but it's just it's got to feel right. You know what I'm saying? I'm pointing to the chest. You know what I'm saying? Because it's it's got to feel right inside. You know what I mean?
right, absolutely. And then like you get something like, and there has been progress, and I know with like films and things like that, Hollywood is still holding all the keys to the kingdom, and they're gonna allow what they want to allow. And a thing like Black Panther comes around and it knocks down the doors, and you see like I will
Mm,
always champion that movie for so many reasons. Like here we are with a man of color who is a king, who is very respectful, has a positive relationship with his father, has a great relationship with his mother, has a great relationship with his ex-girlfriend. She's not referred to as a baby mama or anything like that. They're not arguing with each other. They can freaking communicate and they still have feelings for each other. They can have a freaking conversation. And the most powerful people in the country are the women. They are the most respected and revered people in the country. He
Right.
does not make a decision or consider making a decision without going to somebody you trust. And somebody you trust is a woman, his mama,
right.
Okoye.
Right.
Like they are the strong, like okay, Okoye and her tribe are the strongest people in Wakanda. People want to be them, and those women are not over sexualized. There are all types of shades and colors of women in that show or whatnot. And like honestly, to me, this is gonna be part of my thing tomorrow because we're gonna be talking about Wonder Woman. That Black Panther, I feel represented women, especially women of color, way better than Wonder Woman did in any shape
Mm,
or form. If
yeah.
you just look at it just from a woman or female perspective, or whatnot, I think it was way more better represented, or whatnot. But then you put out that Black Panther with all those hits and all those qualities, and you're like, um, you guys need to do more stuff like this because we will show up for stuff like this. Like this
Right.
is what
I
we
mean,
want to see.
I totally agree with everything you're saying. I mean, I personally, well, Black Panther literally became one of my favorite movies almost instantly. And for all those reasons you mentioned, not only the story, everything about it was incredible. And I think it was such a powerful movie that everything else kind of leaned on it afterwards. Every other
Hmm.
big Marvel film was kind of like leaning on that success of Black Panther, especially the Avengers after it had came out right afterwards. I'm sorry, the not Endgame, the
Infinity
other
War.
one, but right before it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that one.
Hmm.
But what my biggest issue with it has always been that it's not, even though everything was black all through and through, which was beautiful, it wasn't owned by a
Yeah.
black person. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
all of the billions of dollars that it made funnels back to someone who A, supports Trump, who B, is a known racist and is also known. I'm talking about the CEO or the owner of Marvel, Ike Perlmutter, who's again been very controversial of his negative treatment towards women, and he's making all this money off of our culture. And to me, that's like
Mm,
indicative of the fact that we need to be able to have those movies specifically for us. Like we need to be
Hmm.
able to produce that type of level of content because we can, because we already have those stories. We just need the funding. So however we figure out a way to get the funding, whether it's our own community pooling it or getting funding from somewhere else, but we have to own that movie through and through, or movies like that go forward. You know what I'm
Yeah.
mm,
saying?
Like there's an artist that I followed, again, terrible with names, but he just got an anime on Netflix, and I've been watching this guy for a while, like trying to get his anime off the ground or whatnot.
The
Cannon Buster.
Sean Thomas Cannon
Yeah, yeah.
Busters, yeah.
And I met him a few times. He's a super dope, cool dude, fantastic artist, and like I cannot knock his hustle and his grind and his talent at all. Tip top man. But then Cannon Buster comes out, and like I immediately support it. I'm watching it. I want to check it out and give it a chance because it is a diverse cast of people of color put on by people of color in an anime function. So let's
That's
go.
right.
Um, Now I watched it. I'm not a fan of it. It's okay, but it's not something that I like. I went crazy about or whatnot. But I did give it a try. But those avenues and those doors can't open up or happen if we're not putting our time and our money into those things or whatnot. And I
That's
really don't
right.
see. I really don't see taking an L on that because I'm already paying for Netflix and it's on Netflix. So why not watch it? Like, why not give
Yeah.
it a chance?
And
Uh,
also, as much as we probably, between the three of us, we've probably bashed John Henry, to all hell, but we should be able to put out really awful film. And we should be able to put out really lackluster, mediocre characters because our white counterparts have been doing that since the beginning of film, right? So we should also, I watched John Henry again right before I came on this. So they got two streams from me, right? And and I think that that's necessary. I think we also, because there are so few images of us, we have this consistent, and I'm guilty of it as well, that the characters have to be perfect and storyline has to be perfect, and like we should be putting out Black Panthers every time we put something out.
right.
And I think we should give ourselves grace as well to be able to put out some really horrible stuff, and and some very mediocre storylines, because that's kind of the fullness of who we are as creatives. Like, all of
Hmm.
our shit is not dope. Like, some stuff doesn't really come together well. We should be able to kind of put that out too. So
Absolutely. I think that
That's a
chimes back
great
to
point.
yeah. I
No,
think that
I was
chimes
just
back
gonna say
to
that
oh,
I.
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go
No,
ahead.
no, 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 no. You're fine. You're fine. I talk a lot. Go ahead.
I, no, I was just gonna say I totally agree with her. I mean, I just think that when you're obviously you're putting in the reps. You know what I'm saying? Every single thing that you do isn't going to be a diamond, but like the fact that matters that we have to put out a lot to get to that diamond.
that's
You know
right.
what I'm saying?
That's
Hmm.
Like we
right.
just have to continuously put out content, and really, whether it's good or not, we should, just like we all three of us did, we showed up to every single one of these shows, watch it, support it, do whatever we can, and I think that's definitely a humongous thing that everyone should be doing. We just have to support our own, like through and through. Like instead of
Hmm.
getting your hair at the spot that the Chinese ladies own, get it at the black hair care spot. You know what I'm
All
saying?
right, now
Go
you
there
stepping on
first.
toes, TJ. You stepping on toes.
just, just letting you know. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, because it's crazy. Because when I think about this type of stuff, it's like this is how we grow up, right? We grow up, we're in that store with our moms, and it's like, hey, these people don't want us to be here. We need to put our money in
Mm.
places that people want us at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
investing in each other is just such an incredibly important thing. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Michael. Yeah.
Yeah. And I definitely think like those, and I've been saying this a lot, but I think that opens up the door for things, because yeah, a lot of people don't like what Marvel and DC or Disney or Warner Bros. Whatever are doing with their diversity because they feel like it's cookie cutter. They feel like they're just pandering to people. They feel like they're just trying to get stuff out to get the numbers, and well, they are, and they think they're doing it for the money. They are.
Right.
And I don't know why you're shocked or mad about that. They're a company at the end of the day. But at the same time, while they're trying to do this by the numbers and things like that, or whatever for whatever you claim is the majority of it, they may literally not know how to do it. And as Taisha has pointed out, you got to put out trash to figure out how to get some stuff.
For sure,
I'm
for sure.
talking.
You also need
Amen.
Black people in your creative rooms.
You
You
do.
need Black people on your production team. You need Black people in your, setting up your costumes, and so the diversity on screen is it for, and I'm talking about for like a Marvel, for
Yeah, yeah,
DC,
yeah,
for
yeah,
the diversity on screen tends to be a reflection of the diversity behind the screen. And if there isn't any there, then it ends up translating onto the big screen. So it it's definitely a money grab, especially between 2008 and 2015. It was like, oh, we're diverse, we're colorblind, all of these characters who could definitely have one race or another. We'll just make them Black, or we'll just make
yeah.
them people of color. But when you don't have people working for you to be able to say, you know what, Lakeisha probably wouldn't have her braids, looking like that. They might look, and it's something as subtle as that. Then it's going to end up being reflected on the screen.
Dude, I can absolutely vouch to that. I had
Absolutely.
on my book Emerald Quest, we had a guy drawing the first issue, and me and that guy did the character designs. And we have a lot of women in that issue or what in that book, that story as a whole. And then we had a woman come on, and she was drawing it, and then she texted me and was like, "Yeah, Mike, you mind if I do something with this hair? Like not all. Like, I just want to fix it. Like, I don't know what's wrong with the hair." And she's like, let me just touch it up. Let me just do a couple things, just to shoot it your way. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, I'll go back to what you have. Just some things. And like she redid the hair, and I was like, that's dope. Let's roll with that. And there's just little things that I did not know or that I did not think about because I'm a guy
Right.
with curly hair who I just roll out the bed. I don't even brush my hair, man. I just go. So like I'm not thinking about these little things when we're
And
making.
don't let Mike fool y'all. He be wearing these ball caps, but Mike got that luxurious. Y'all need to meet Mike in person. Like he really does have that luxurious, like, what is this,
Never seen him with his
velvet?
hat
Like he
off.
be out here, he be fooling y'all with these caps, man.
Got that
But
juices and berries coming
the
to America
juices and
Ultra
berries,
term. Let's
yes,
go.
yes,
I'm just out here trying to survive. I'm just out here trying to survive.
man,
Word
whatever.
up.
But to your point, like that is a very good point. There's just things that if you get the right people behind it, you won't know or
Right.
understand. And I've
And
been
just
a
like for John Henry, like I wonder how many women were behind the scenes on that, because all
Good
of the
point.
representation of black women in John Henry were abysmal. You've got this
terrible.
grandmother who's complicit. You've got Tasha, the old high school friend who like drops her whole life at the drop of a dime to come help John Henry because she ain't got nothing else going on.
Hmm.
You've got the two young girls that were sitting on the couch where he was just like, bitches leave. And they're being, degraded, and it's just all kind of horrible representation of
Hmm.
black women on
Absolutely.
the screen. And I'm just wondering, I kept thinking, where are the black women behind the scene? Because I know they wasn't gonna let this go down like this.
Not at all.
That's awesome because the Martin Luther King movie, the latest one that came out,
Selma.
Selma,
Selma.
when
Yep.
Yes.
when they got the director on that whole scene where Martin Luther King was talking to his wife in the
Uh-huh.
room about
Uh-huh.
him cheating and stuff, that
Uh-huh.
wasn't there. Like his wife literally had one scene in that movie, and it was a phone call
Oh, that's
conversation.
right. That's right. That's
But
right.
Ava DuVall came in there, and she inserted all that stuff.
That's right.
But like, it added so much more to the movie. Like I literally watched the film, and after I saw that interview, I was like, I just don't understand how they would not put her in the film, like her being such an important person to him and in his life.
Right. People
Like,
know Coretta Scott King as much as they know Martin Luther King. Like there's no way that you
Absolutely.
that you don't give her a prominent role in a
right?
film about his
Hmm.
life.
That
Yeah.
it's just crazy because like so these things are starting to happen, and to segue back a little bit, but like it takes time, and when you have other people being gatekeepers, you're not always going to get the things that you want to do, but I can see these things bleeding through. I've always thought to myself
Mm.
that like representation and people being able to see themselves in the things that we make and the things that we are fans of or whatever is super super important. I've always been like that, but I did not realize how important it was or how good it felt. Like it didn't punch me until I watched Miles Morales Enter the Spider Verse, and I'm
Oh
sitting
Mm.
there
yeah.
with my kids, all four of them, and my son, Miles Parker Watson, sitting next to me, and we're watching this film and seeing Miles dap people up and just keep moving. Or like how he jumped up and hit the board while he was walking, having his shoe not tied all the way, like the spin move around people. Oh wait, like saying what's up to people and just that
Right.
casualness of it. Like they didn't put
Right.
spotlights on it and said, "Oh look how this black person interacts." Da, 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 da. No, it just was there.
It's
And
Yeah.
like
natural. Yeah.
it was so
Yeah.
natural. And then like watching my son light up, like Miles lit up when they said his name, and he was like, "Oh wait, that's my name. That's Spider Man. That's what's up." You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't realize. Like I've always thought it was important, but it didn't hit me till that movie.
And see, I think that's a perfect example of how, Marvel and a big, two company has taken, a character that is not traditionally, us and made it us, and it worked. You know what I'm saying? I think it worked, but like in the comics for me, like when they did that with Sam Wilson as Captain America, it seemed like a natural evolution. You know what I'm saying? Totally through and through. And I think, when you add in natural diversity that just makes sense and it feels right
Mm-hmm.
and it comes from a right place and they're obviously on board with doing something really dope like that, it just it resonates on a higher level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I totally agree with you. That movie was powerful, and I think for it to win the Oscar like
Mm-hmm.
that, and then Black Panther win an Oscar, it's like superheroes weren't really winning Oscar movies before we got into them, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
just saying.
Yeah,
I'm just
just
saying.
saying. Just saying legit
That's
stuff.
fly.
Shout out
Yeah.
Robert Smothers. We initially were talking about John Henry the movie on Netflix.
We done got
Um,
all off topic.
we then went to Watchmen on HBO, Spider Verse,
Black
Selma,
AF.
Insecure, Black AF. We just kind of talking about the culture right now. Um,
That's right.
but like all that stuff is like you're right. Like look at the impact that it had. Like how dope was it to see? It's a little thing, but how dope was it to see Miles Morales rocking J's, the first Jordans?
Oh, for
Killing it.
sure.
Like
And
in
tagging.
in the Chicago's, like, whew, man,
Yeah.
you a sneakerhead, the Chicago's are the one. Like, that's the
right,
one right there.
like I drew a whole print at work while I was in a meeting of Miles Morales with J's because I knew my coworker had every single Jordan. And I knew if I drew this print with Miles Morales with the Jordans on and showed him, he would buy that print. Like that was
Right.
just it was just epic. Like I want them to like that poster's up on my wall with them ones, with the J's, the ones up there, Miles Morales, no Spider-Man crew. Like that just completely like changed the game as to
Yeah.
what's doing. And how dope was his interaction with his parents? Like when he's
Loved it.
I loved
moving
it.
through the
Like
house.
even when his dad was dropping him off, like I've seen Marshall and Amari have had those conversations where Amari does not want public affection, and Marshall is like, "You are my son. I'm going to kiss you. I'm going to tell you I love you, and you're going to tell me back, right?" And that was probably the most important to me because Black fathers don't get enough credit in
Mm-hmm.
public eye
Amen.
generally. Even though we know statistically that they're present, that they're active, that they're supportive, and engaged in the same way that their counterparts are. So I really love the interaction between Miles Morales and his father specifically. I also want to point out that Miles Morales is like amazing. So on his own, already amazing. But also I feel like the Spider-Man story had been done so many times and
Mm-hmm.
had been beat in the head so many times that it was a good opportunity to spin off and show a different variation of it.
Oh yeah.
But unfortunately, John Henry, like the original story, has not been told enough, and
Mm-hmm.
people are already trying to branch off and do other iterations. I'm like, we haven't even told the actual story yet. Like, let's
Mm-hmm.
get that down first, and then we can go
Yeah.
off and make somebody who's half man, half machine, who sits in a black light in the trap all day, and see, you know what I'm saying, where that story goes. But like, let's get the real story down. And so that's just feel like that's also an example of what happens when you have fully told a story and then you start getting creative and start making some iterations. And I don't know that we're there yet with John Henry.
I, I absolutely agree. We are not there with John Henry because I would love to see a dope live action like John Henry movie or whatnot.
Mm.
We got Robert with a little piece here. Marvel just straight up took out Monica Rambo's dad. Like what? Speaking of black fathers, I heard the John Henry movie was wildly bad. Um, but
Yeah.
to its point, it's
Good to
there.
terrible.
But
We
his father was
experienced it.
present. His
His
father was
father was
there.
his father
His
was
He
father was
was.
self-sacrificing, right? He's got all of these
self-sacrificing.
good qualities, so
He
we can go
does.
there.
Hmm.
I just
Yeah.
don't like that. My dick was legendary, and that was. I just I just feel like those should have been his last words. I don't.
Hey,
He said it a few times, but
he
don't make
did.
those his last words.
He wanted us to know.
He wanted
But
us to know. He
and
did.
in that same light, I'm super excited about Monica Rambeau being introduced into the Marvel Cinematic Universe because where we're at right
Mm.
now, she's going to be an adult, and this woman in the comic book has represented the Captain Marvel mantle. She's powerful as hell.
Mm.
For a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, so being able to have her in here, we got Valkyrie, and I've gotten in. I meant to say this back when you were talking about Captain America and Falcon. I've gotten in so many debates with people about why Falcon is going to be the next Captain America in this movie, and I'm like, it like y'all really think it has to like, all right, y'all really are upset and thinking he's getting this thing because he's black. Even if that's the case, so what? The movie has laid it out for you. Winter Soldier is a terrible person. He's an
Terrible
assassin.
dude. He's
He's killed Tony Stark's dad and mom. The world thinks
Mm,
he's killed the Wakandan father. He just isn't the person to have this shield right now. Y'all that
not at
mad that
all.
this man can't have this shield? I mean, Falcon is upgraded every single movie. He has been with the Avengers for 10 years. Ain't nobody gonna listen to Winter Soldier. Who is you? You can't tell me
right.
where Falcon at.
Right.
Yeah.
Get out of here,
Falcon's
man.
like he's a natural leader too. He has the energy. He's got that. He has everything that a leader has in the character, and I think it's just a testament to the the incredibly powerful acting of Anthony Mackie, who's just obviously a vet and been around for a long time, who's been able to be one of those actors that could really do anything. I was literally watching one of his old movies from like 20 years ago that him and Spike Lee did, She Hate Me, and it was young Anthony Mackie, but like everything about his acting even then was pretty brilliant. And like I think, I mean, that's probably one of the most things I'm excited about is to see more female representation,
Hmm.
see more Black Panther films, and then also see Anthony Mackie's Captain America, but owning the role and just taking charge of that entire thing because obviously there's going to be
Mm,
more
mm-hmm.
things that are going to come across in the Marvel universe. Because like, how do you top Endgame? Like they got to think of something epic. They really, really got to do that.
Oh,
She
they
Hate
got.
Me is probably one of Spike Lee's most underrated films.
Hmm.
So,
Oh
and
yeah,
that's
oh
largely
yeah,
because of Anthony Mackie.
Yeah, I think
facts.
he's done so many roles, man, and I'm glad to see him get his shine now and stuff like that. I think there's what's up? Shout out Shaggy. What's up, man? How you doing? And I know some people want him to maintain his Falcon identity, and I get that. I believe he's going to come back to that role. I think just in this story, Steve trusts Falcon the most and understands that sorry, it's still Captain America. That mantle needs to be there. It needs to be there, or whatever. He's going to carry it, and he's going to come out stronger from it, or whatnot.
Mm,
But I'm with you. I want more female representation in these movies. I know a lot of people complained about the end game scene when all the women lined up and got together to fight. Like, there's just no way all of them got together at the same spot at the same time to line up and like do all that. Man, who cares? This shit
Who
was dope.
cares?
My
Shit
three
was dope.
daughters got up on their feet when all those women got together and stood up. Like they knew what it was when Captain Marvel came down and took it. Then Okoye walked over. Then Rescue landed in front. My daughters knew what it was and they got up. That's what I care about, man. They don't
That's
get to
right.
facts.
see themselves. They don't get to see
Right.
themselves as women up there, and they got to see that. Why y'all want to take
Right.
that away?
Right. And how many films have we seen with guys lined up to fight, whoever? Like, come on,
Exactly.
Hmm.
give us that one frame, okay? We
Amen.
deserve it.
Robert said that scene was corny. I don't care, Robert. I loved it. I thought it was great. It was super, super fun. Um, I'm all there for the fanfare, and hopefully something like that does generate the buzz. And I would love to see because A Force was an actual thing, an all female Avengers team that was a thing in the comic books. And I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind seeing that at all. It's just I don't know, man. I'm just stuck on that thing. People need and should want to see themselves, and right
Mm,
now there is not enough. Although I think it is happening. I think like not Marvel and DC, not the studio directly under them. I think like the fourth and fifth place people studios in the lineup. I think they are going out into artist alley. I think they are looking online on Instagrams and things like that to find like that next thing, that nice thing that's genuine and real with other people, like other races and things like that. Um, and I think the more that we get from Marvel and DC, whether you think they're pandering or not, I think that's going to open up the floodgates for those smaller studios to look for more things. Like, look, Netflix does have it, and I mean, we may not be represented well in all that stuff, but it is starting to pop up more and more
yeah.
things featuring people of color in leading roles and things like that are popping up. So I just think it's a
Amen.
moment of it's just you got to go through it, and we're gonna come out on the other side with more and more. It's just gonna it's like a domino effect. It's just falling. It's gonna keep happening.
Yeah, that and
Right.
the culture is beginning to demand it more, right? And so
Yeah.
there has to be a response. So I remember when Black Panther came out, a lot of folks were talking about how there was no merch, there was no like paraphernalia, there were no action figures, there were no, like, and people were actually like making their own until there started to be more. So the culture is ultimately going to push, and sometimes it just has to, we got to push a little harder, but eventually I think there will be a transition. It's already starting to happen, like you said.
Absolutely. What do you got to say about that, TJ?
No, I totally agree with everything you guys are both saying, and I said it's one of those things that, like I said, I was just watching those comments. People have been going off, so I was a little distracted. But yeah, I mean, I think they were in like a test phase. They weren't really sure. Oh, was this movie going to do well? You know what I'm saying?
Mm,
Are people really going to show up? You know what I'm saying? Because obviously we're putting a lot of black star power behind it when it comes to the actors, the writers, the directors. Like, who knows whether people are going to show up or not? But now that they see that people have shown up and they want it even more than any other movie, it's like, okay, you know what? Now we really have to get serious about the next one, even
Yes.
more serious than we
right,
were before.
Yeah.
right,
So um, but again, it's like every time I'm on a panel and somebody brings up Black Panther, I always say the same thing. We need to make our own Black Panther
Hmm.
every single time because we
mm,
can. Like we need to we should do that. Why can't we do it? You know what I mean?
Right. Uh, Um. Absolutely agree with that. I think it's so funny because you're right. And I know that the big thing that everybody likes to say is make new characters. Just make new characters. Like it's that simple. These studios, these companies have characters that are 75 years in the game. Their
right,
audience come automatic. The
right,
money that they have spent to build up these characters, they are rehashing and reusing these characters because it's a given that the fandom's going to follow them. That
right,
that that
Correct.
money, they don't want to lose money. Like I think people just forget companies' objective is not to lose money; it is to make money. So
right,
That's correct.
they're not going to take risk unless it's been proven. And Black Panther has proven it. Whether you like Captain Marvel or not, it's proven it. It's a $1 billion movie. Black Panther's $1 billion movie. So now they know we're going to show up for these films. And like TJ says, we need to make our own stuff. Like I am a huge fan. I mean, look at my damn room. All right, I'm out here.
Mm,
I don't care. But I also make my own content, my own stories, my own comics, and I go looking for other comic books that are made by creators that are making original stuff. I buy and support that stuff too as well. But I'm
right,
not going
amen.
to
right.
lie and sit here and say I am not a fan of these studios and I don't want to see this stuff. Because look at the lineup that we're getting now. Scarlet Witch, the WandaVision, Scarlet Witch and Vision. We're getting She-Hulk. We're getting Miss Marvel. They're talking about doing an Ironheart TV series in the
Mm-hmm.
MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and you ain't gotta like it, man. It may not be the stuff for you, but guess what? And I've always said this: don't buy it, don't support it.
Right. And but that's the thing
Facts.
though. If it's not for you, there are so many other characters that you can buy, or that you can watch, that you can get into their backstories. Like if you just really don't want to see Ironheart, there's so many other things that you can watch. Like, let us have Ironheart.
Robert pulls out that we have the money, the content to take these characters that we make, like Stealth, Wildfire, Trill League, and Supernatural. And Trill League is a story of I can't talk up how good that story is. Anthony Piper has been out here in the game. I have watched him through Facebook go from one level to the next level to the next level, from making these Trill League books to making these Trill League shorts to going ahead working for Marvel, penning these books for Marvel, to where he's at the level right now where 50 Cent is executive producer on a Trill League animated series for him.
Wow.
Right. Shout out to Anthony. That's my dude, man. He's a good cat.
Right. So we know the content's out here, but man, we're not the gatekeepers, and we got to keep pushing and putting this content out here. Everybody is grinding as well. From what I see, everybody's out here grinding, putting their stuff out here. You know what I'm saying? Like
Amen.
I wouldn't have met TJ if it wasn't him and me going out to BlurCon, busting our butts to hustle at a comic book convention. later on coming together on top of a podcast, Nerd Soul. Shout out Mike. Where he
Shout
brings
out,
together where
shout
we're
out.
talking about these type of things and we get to see these other creators and stuff. So the money is out there, man, but I ain't got the money. Not right now. Y'all can help me get the money. Go to shortfusemediagroup.com, buy my comic book. But all we can do is
Hey man,
persevere and keep pushing.
raycomics.com, raecomics.com. Some hot shit. They'll buy it. Jump on it. Let's go.
There you go, brother.
Taisha, let's do it.
I was waiting for you. Yeah, so I mean, it's all good stuff, man. But like the people that are out here pushing, persevering, grinding, putting their nose to the ground and putting that stuff out there, man, they're the ones going to get out. They're the ones that are going to get out there. And a lot of times, it's it is not to knock or discredit anybody that has made it or is out there. A lot of times, it's not about how talented you are, how good your idea is. It's sometimes it's who you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I'm trying to know
Things work,
everybody.
man. I mean, we working on it. We getting there. You
Yeah,
already
yeah,
know.
yeah. So
On
I
that
don't want.
note, I have to exit, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately,
Oh,
I
no
got to get
problem,
some
man.
work
No.
done for the day gig. But hey, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you guys. I
Absolutely.
really appreciate it. I hope we can definitely do this again. Taisha, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Yes. Yes.
Michael, my
Same.
G, I love this setup you got going on. And everybody, thank you for listening. Again, TJ Sterling, Ray Comics, raecomics.com, Okemos as well. Talk to you soon.
Hey, make sure you put it in the comments, man, so people can know to get to it.
Oh yeah, yes, I'll do that right now.
I was I was gonna get ready to wrap it up anyway because I didn't want to keep you guys on
Yeah.
here all night. I've definitely appreciated Taisha. Final words from you.
Man, just keep supporting creatives of color. Demand creatives of color. They don't have to be illustrators and writers. They can be set designers. They can be, costume designers. They
Mm-hmm.
can be, grips, on a set. But keep demanding them. That's the only way that we're gonna get the kind of content that we deserve.
Mm, mm.
Amen to that. And for some reason, I can't leave the comments, but Mike, help me out if you
Mike will do it. We'll make Mike
Yeah,
lead
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Hey, just private message it to me so I can copy and paste it in there, man.
you
I got
got
you.
it, man.
Cool, cool.
Bye,
Appreciate
TJ.
y'all.
Thank you,
See you
TJ.
later. Guys, take care.
All right. Yeah, get out here, man. When comic book conventions start opening back up, please go to Artist Alley. Look for these creators. I'm telling you, they got books for you. You don't have to get all your content from Marvel and DC. And I'm also
That's
telling you,
right.
you don't have to stop getting your content from Marvel and DC. Buy what speaks to you, man. And
Yeah.
buy what speaks to you. Spend your money where you are in love with the product. And I'm telling you, you'll be happier. You don't have to take
Yeah.
what Marvel and DC gives you. There are
That's
tons of
right.
people out here. Uh, but be sure to hit up the website, shortfusemediagroup.com. Give me a follow on Twitch. I'm also on Patreon right now with my new show, Chat and Draw. And we have a new episode premiering Saturday where I will be drawing an original character with my boy Chad. Tomorrow night, I'm back with my regular co-host, Christina, and we're going to review Scoob.
Yay.
We're going to talk about the what is it? The Snyder cut of Justice League is coming. Yes, I am excited about that because I want to see what that man was really about to put out. He suffered a tragic loss and he had to stop working on that movie and somebody else finished his film. Warner Brothers had a lot of say in how that movie was going to get finished. I want to see Zack Snyder's cut and see what it is. And if it's trash, I'm going to say it's trash. And if I like it, I like it. And you don't have to love it. All you Zack Snyder haters out there, don't get the movie. It's gonna be on Max anyway. You ain't got to buy it. Look, Robert's excited about that. He's looking forward to the Snyder Cut. But I want to thank TJ. I want to thank Ty for coming on here. I really appreciate her.
Absolutely.
I'm so glad I saw your post going on about John Henry. We got to talk about that for a little bit on there. But absolute pleasure and thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No problem. All right, everybody. We're going to get out of here. I will catch you tomorrow. And this has been a special episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Nerdy.